Well, thank you for joining me on Local 3's podcast, Breaking Ground, where we discuss all things labor, labor history, politics, and organizing as it relates to Operating Engineers Local 3, which is the largest construction trades local in North America, and we're very happy about that in these parts. So we are obviously in the middle of an election time, and people are getting flyers on their doorsteps, they're getting people knocking on their doors, they're getting phone calls. I think it's no better time than now to discuss how Local 3 does politics at the local level, and so I'm happy to have today with me Local 3 Sacramento District 80 Political Action Committee members, Frank Fuller, Travis Damiani, and Miguel Gonzalez. Thank you guys for joining me today. Before we get into what the Political Action Committee does, and that's short for, or long for the PAC, I want to know a little bit about you and, tell us, let's start with you, Frank, when you joined Local 3 and what you currently do in the field.
I got into Local 3 July 5th of 2005 as a ready-mix batch plant operator, and I'm still that to this day.
I started in 1997 for Spink as a surveyor. Came in through the apprenticeship program. And currently I work for Wood Rogers as a party chief.
Okay. Go ahead, Travis.
Been in Local 3 for 13 years. Started as a laborer, Local 294, 5 years in that, and then 13 years at Local 3.
And what do you do for Local 3?
I currently work for Vulcan Materials as an asphalt batch plant operator, make different types of hot mix for local contractors.
Okay, so when you were out in the field at one point, did you think, I want to get more involved in my union, or how does this union stuff work? Did that cross your mind, or were you going to meetings?
Yeah, the union's always been good to me and my family, and I just always wanted to give back, and I figured this would be a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, it probably took about, 8-9 years before I started to really think about it. The union has been good to me and my family also. So I decided that there's probably no better way to give back than to try to do what I can through the PAC committee.
Yeah, it's as a ready-mix batch plant operator, we don't really have set hours, so I don't have shift work. There's not a set time, and nor do I know when I'm going to get off. So it took quite a few years to gain some seniority where I could actually have the opportunity to invest more time in my union.
And then you decided to do that when the time became available.
My first committee, I served on the GMAC committee. It was about 2015. I served on the GMAC committee for 2 years before I was approached with an opportunity to serve on the PAC committee. I served on the PAC committee until 2019, from when Mr. Tom Seawright decided he was going to retire. I was then elected to help fill his position, and I've been on the E-board since 2019.
So yeah, you have been on all the committees and, serving the membership in such huge ways. And has that helped you kind of respect the organization more, or?
I don't do these things for the title or anything. I do it because I believe in the operating engineers. I believe in what we stand for, and it's a position that I can serve in. Makes me feel good. It's been a huge education. What it takes to run a union, all the decisions that are made. It's really been an awesome ride all the way around. I've been surrounded by many good operating engineers. I mentioned Tom Seawright. Rob Carrion was one of my one of the guys that got me going. I served with Rob in this very room as a committeeman negotiating with the operating engineers in CMEX. And to watch Rob thunder away and do what Rob did really inspired me. To really pick it up and move. Men like that, they work their day job and they're here till 9 o'clock at night interviewing politicians. I mean, really dig deep. So if he can do it, I can do it too. And I think that was my big push. My family really has been very supportive of my roles here, which makes it easier. I'm married with 3 kids, all in sports, and life's busy anyway. And then throw in 2 meetings a month with the PAC committee, another meeting a month for e-board, quarterly meeting.
And your regular day job.
But this is really has become my passion. You know, my day job's just a job. You know, it puts food on the table, but this has become my passion.
Well, and just like anything, you get out of it what you put into it. So it has become more meaningful probably in the time that you've spent and the commitment that you've made to help your fellow union members. So a lot of the membership, I don't think even knows what the Political Action Committee does. So let's start with you, Frank. Can you just explain? It's also called the PAC. So what does the PAC do?
Well, the Political Action Committee is a group of members that have brought together, and we interview prospective political candidates that are running for office, and we find out if they're actually labor friendly, if they're going to back us, if they share our core values. We give those an opportunity. We interview them, and then we discuss their potential and their answers to their questions among the committee, and then make a decision whether or not we're going to recommend them or not.
So how do you get on the PAC? I think you're nominated in the first quarter round of district meetings every year, and then you're actually elected at that meeting.
Correct. Yeah, it's an elected position.
And then do you stay on the committee for just the year?
Yes.
Just a year, and then we go on for election again the following year.
Okay, so how long have you each been serving on the PAC committee?
I've been on the PAC for 3 years.
I've been on the PAC for about 3 years also.
I've been on, well, I am the e-board member, so I am the chair of the PAC committee. So I've been e-board member for 3 years, PAC committee for 3 years before that. So a total of 6 years. I've been involved with the Political Action Committee.
So, and how many members are on the PAC committee? Are there more than the three of you?
Myself, I chair it. John Richter is our secretary. And then we have 3 members, Miguel, Travis, and Frank Adair.
Okay, so you had mentioned how you bring a candidate in and you interview them, and based on certain questions or how they answer those questions, you decide if you're going to support them through an endorsement. And is this happening throughout Local 3's jurisdiction every year? So every district office, elects PAC committee members, and all of them are meeting all the time, same as you?
If needed, we will.
And you're required to meet twice a month per the bylaws. Do you meet more often during an election season, or?
No, right now it's just been every other Wednesday.
Okay.
But if needed, we'll meet them.
So tell me how it works. So does the candidate contact District 80 and they're interested in an endorsement, and then you set up a time when you just bring them in?
Yeah, correct. The candidate will get in touch with Local 3. Local 3 will then send out a questionnaire. They will fill out that questionnaire, return it to the PAC committee. We'll review it, and if it's something that we believe in, we'll call them in for an interview and sit down face to face and have them tell us about themselves. Tell us how they're going to help support labor. Are they going to support PLAs? Are they going to stand behind us if we have to go out on strike?
So it's kind of like a job interview.
Very much so.
So why do these candidates want Local 3's endorsement?
Because labor is really important during election times to get elected.
So you're in communication with like other labor organizations. You guys kind of work together behind the scenes.
We have lots of members. We give our endorsements, which is really important. We're a really respected organization, and a lot of times what we do, other unions will follow. So
if you're, so it's kind of like a job interview, and would you ever get the questionnaire that comes back to you, and they fill it out, and you're like, no way?
It happens from time to time, yeah. And we'll
Which is surprising, because you'd think they would do a little bit of their research on a labor union before they would want your endorsement.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised by some of the answers.
Well, just humor me. Give me a story.
Candidates crossing boycott lines.
And they're like, yes, I would cross the boycott line. Yes, I would. Okay. You're like, oh, okay, that's a no.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Questionnaires half filled out. We'll just file it as read and move on to the next.
That's amazing. That's one of the first questions that's asked of a prospective candidate is, what do you know about the operating engineers?
And some of them do, and some of them don't know.
They stumble.
Some of them have no idea.
Yeah, but there are some that are honest. That'll say, I just really haven't had a chance to research this yet, and that's, we'll give them points. But when they come out and say, I understand that you're the ones that design bridges and you design buildings and things like that, that's not the engineers that we are.
Well, there's some survey work involved in that, right? Well, I mean, I think it's fascinating, but also kind of special to want, that they want our endorsement, which means that we are, in some ways, a political powerhouse. I mean, people are coming in and they want our name on their information, or they want to be included. What does a candidate get who receives our endorsement? What's the benefit?
It just depends. We'll phone bank for them, precinct walk, go door to door, hang flyers.
And then we also publish those endorsements in the Engineers News and in mailers, so that, people who have no idea how they might vote may be like, okay, well, my union supports this person, I'm going to do that. Some of these questions, I was kind of looking at them myself, and where is your stand on environmental issues? Do you have a written campaign plan and a written budget? So some of them come in here and they don't answer that question.
We've had a couple.
Okay, I hope they would have an idea about why they're running. In some ways, those who may not know, you're educating them. Do they have a view concerning the federal Davis-Bacon law and the state prevailing wage? Do some of them not know what those are? Have you ever just sat and explained it to them?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what those things are to the audience?
The federal Davis-Bacon laws is guaranteed prevailing wage to be paid on federally funded projects. And we are basically the prevailing wage. It guarantees that union shops will take care of that work.
They'll set the standard of wage for the area. Okay, and then project labor agreements, do you ever go into that with them?
The PLAs are a guarantee that it will be done by union labor. Like Sacramento City School District, we have a PLA with them. There's a few others, the school districts that have PLAs.
So what happens when a candidate comes in and you guys are divided? How do you handle that? Because that's interesting. Do you just hash it out?
Yeah,
Pretty much, we do a lot of research, and we talk back and forth. And we try to get down to it and make the right decision for the union and the members.
Or are you ever at a standstill and then you just can't make a decision and then there's no endorsement made?
We always work it out.
Did you find that in being on this committee, you became more interested in politics than you were before because now you kind of have to, or were you always kind of a political junkie?
I haven't really changed much. I'm interested in certain types of politics just because whatever brings work to us is what I'm concerned with.
So politics only insofar as it's going to protect your job or union.
Our union and members.
I would agree with Miguel. That's for myself, yeah.
I think that in general, I don't think that the membership or even the public understands how we achieve these endorsements. They may wrongly believe that it just comes up from someone at the top who just decides, I'm going to endorse my friend, or they think we only endorse Democrats. What would you say to someone who, came up to you and said that about this? Because you actually, live and do the work that goes on behind the scenes.
Well, it's just absolutely untrue. I mean, our endorsement's open to all that share our core values. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. If you support labor, you're a friend of ours, then we'll give you a shot.
Well, and these are some pretty divisive political times right now. It's really hard to separate the sort of emotional issues from the financial issues or, the interests of labor as an organization. We've been talking a lot in other podcasts about how Local 3 does politics, and that's actually on our the Local 3 YouTube page. There's a video about that. But it is basically surrounding this idea that, if you want to die on the cross for, abortion rights, you can do that. There's a coalition that exists for that. But if you're interested in the coalition that is Local 3, then you'll align with the recommendations that we make in our magazine, and we're going to stand only to protect those core values. And what are those core values? What is it that you're trying to protect?
Try and protect our working wage, our health benefits.
Our
It's
retirement.
not getting any cheaper to live in California.
No, it's not. Yeah, wage, benefits, probably access to training, just the ability to have a job, retirement. Yeah, those are pretty simple bread and butter things that we all want. And so beyond that scope, we're not going to fight those battles, but we are going to fight the battles to protect those things. And I think that's an important message to give to our members and the public in general. Have you liked being on this PAC committee? I mean, how's the experience been?
My experience with the PAC has been amazing. Not only do I get to work with a great group of guys, but I get to ensure that mine and the members are successfully supporting and receiving support from the right candidate.
I've enjoyed it. It takes a lot of time. We have our meetings come up, and we have to make certain sacrifices. So in the end, it's worth it.
And what does that mean in the end? Is that like when the candidate gets elected?
Yes, and most of the time, our candidates do get elected.
And that's pretty cool. I mean, Frank, you've been around a while. Have you supported a candidate and then seen them actually protect some of these core values, or like get a project to pass?
Yeah, we've had a couple mayors that we've supported and gotten elected and are doing some good things for.
Probably feels pretty good.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Now, have you ever supported a candidate and then they ended up going against what they said?
I haven't seen it yet. No, but that is another thing that the PAC committee has started, is that we will call in people who've helped to get elected and ask them, okay, where are you at with X, Y, Z? We started this about the last year. To hold them to some accountability. Yeah. Hey, we helped you out when you needed your call.
Yeah, so hey.
So where are we?
I mean, that's how this works, right? Do you think if the chance arises that you'll, want to serve on the Political Action Committee again?
I will 100% run for PAC again next year and every year after until I'm too old or I get kicked off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely run again, and probably every year after.
I'm in for the long haul. So being a board member and a political action committee member, I'm here to serve as long as the majority of the membership approves of my job, how I'm doing.
So what's your advice for someone in the field who may be kind of interested in getting involved in the union, but they're maybe intimidated about politics, or, they just don't think they have the time? What would you tell them, now that you have kind of seen behind the scenes and you kind of see all the work that goes into this process? What would you tell that person?
I would say go for it, but everybody's different. Everybody's family schedule is different, I understand. But just because they're not on the Political Action Committee, or just because they're not on staff with the operating engineers, doesn't mean that they can't be stewards. Get out and talk to people. Talk to people about, what's going on with politics. Have you heard who the operating engineers are endorsing? Strike up conversations at your kids' ball games with people that are there. Talk to them about the operating engineers in general. Help us grow our numbers. Promote our credit union. Like I said, just because you're not an elected official doesn't mean that you can't be a steward of this union. We're 38,000 members strong. It's a lot of people. With everybody involved, we would be an absolutely unstoppable force.
We've already done pretty well. But yes, if 38,000 people voted the way the union recommended, we would probably have greater protections about those core values going forward in the long term. Well, I thank you for the work that you put in, to your union and this particular committee. And I hope that what you've said today will help our membership understand the process of how Local 3 actually does politics, and that it's not something that we just made up. It's part of our bylaws. It's been around since the beginning of the union. I think it's a great idea. It's that the membership elects the members who then do this process. And so it is a member-run, committee. Do you have any parting words about, the PAC committee or this upcoming election? Anything you want to tell people? Read your endorsements, consider supporting the union's way.
I would say look past party and think about the union.
Yeah, as a committee, we keep everything personal out of our decisions. All of our decisions are jointly made for the betterment of the union and the members.
Was that hard to do?
It can be, because we've all have different views on certain things, but at the end of the day, is this candidate going to help us going forward?
And that's your job on this committee. Well, I appreciate you guys, agreeing to do this, and I appreciate your time and effort in serving the membership on the PAC, and hopefully your endorsements have some impact, and we get those candidates elected who will support our core values. So thank you again for your time.
Absolutely.
for
Thank
having
you
us.
for having us.